Welcome to The Social, everybody. We are so excited to have you here, and we are also excited to welcome a very, very special guest. She has a familiar face, a brand new title, newly minted Liberal MP-elect for Toronto Centre, and our good friend, Marci Ien is here!
So
Yes.
happy
Yes.
to see you. I am so happy to see you. Still
And
getting used to
Marci-
that title.
No kidding. We're going to be talking about everything that just happened last night in your life, but we are also talking about the fact that because you're a busy lady, you also have your very, very first book out. It is entitled Off Script, out today. It's about sharing your personal stories and lessons from your fascinating life. Marci, we got a lot to get to today.
Me too.
We do. We have so much to get to, Marci. We're going to get to the book. But first, obviously, once again, from our whole team, congratulations. We love you so much.
Woohoo!
You are going to step into this new phase in your life. You have a new job, so you will be leaving us on The Social. How do you feel?
Oh my gosh, just hearing you say that makes me sad. But then I remember you never leave family, Lane, and you guys are just that. So I'm not leaving you. I'm just shifting. That's what we'll say. Shift. I'm transitioning to something else.
Okay, Marci, a lot of people really want to know about, like, what do you want people to know about this shift to politics?
I want people to know and understand that The Social is where it all started, because that's where the neutrality of news ended as a news anchor and reporter for a long time, and talking about, things that mattered to me, that mattered to Canadians, but offering my opinion along with it. That's where speaking out, that's where bringing to light challenges that I faced, as a Black woman in the country I was born and love, as a mom of raising Black children, speaking out about our Indigenous brothers and sisters, and what we're not doing enough of. All of these things are things that we talked about on this show, and this show allowed me to use my microphone differently. And it was the start of something. I didn't realize that it was the start of something, but it absolutely was.
I'm going to try to not get emotional, Marci, but I'm struggling a little bit. We're so happy for you, and it's just amazing that while you were plugging along and doing this new pursuit, you also had in the works this book, and it is called Off Script, and it is an incredible book. It is really like sitting down with a treasured friend and going through stories in your life. Let's talk about the significance of that title.
Yeah. So in news, Sin, it's very much a script. You're reading a teleprompter as a news anchor. You're not adding bits and pieces of opinion throughout. And so what off script means is what was happening behind the scenes on that day. I was interviewing Lionel Richie. What was happening, the day I was going through personal struggles at home, but still had to come in and put a smile on my face and say, good morning, Canada, or hi, today on The Social. There's a chapter called Dance, Baby, Dance, which is just about that, where it is our job to bring people the news or stories of the day or offer our opinion. And it doesn't matter what's going on in our life. So what Off Script is offering a glimpse behind the scenes. It is stories about family. It is stories about work. And it really is about people along the way as well that I've met and I've learned so much from. But it is just me unfiltered.
Marci? Girl, you're going to make me ball on this show. Man, we are just so lucky to have you. Many moons before we met, you were a part of my family anyways, because you meant so much to a lot of Black people in this country, becoming the first Black woman to host a national morning show. I tell you, my grandparents were there every single morning with you. Can you talk to me about the pressures of being a first?
Kayla, you know very well what they are because you were the first Black woman to host a sports show. And so we had this conversation, and you've taught me so much about it. And I think you said it best, and I borrowed your line, that when you walk through a certain door as the first, you carry a community with you. And you're right about that. And I've always felt that that is very much the case, that it was never just about me, because I knew I had to work harder. If I didn't do what I needed to do, if I didn't put the work in, the research in, that maybe, just maybe, it might mean somebody coming up might not get a shot. So I wanted to make sure that I represented well so that there was a path, that I was blazing a trail for others.
Let's talk a little bit more about that path, Marci, because you are one of the most successful Canadian broadcasts ever. And you talk about in your book how that wasn't always an easy path. Can you share a little bit with us right now about that career path?
We've all had job interviews. We've all had them that we go to, and they just don't go very well. They don't go the way you expect them to go. So I had sent some tape in, which is what we do. We put together a reel of stories, and I had sent them off to an executive in charge of a newsroom at the time. And I was excited when I was called in for an interview. And at the end of it, this person basically said, you know what, you don't have it. You don't have that it. You don't have that it factor. And I thought for a second, okay, do I take the opinion of this person who has been in this business for a very long time, or do I brush it off? Do I take that word no and turn it into something else? And it was a real pivotal moment for me. And walking out the door into my car, I thought, you know what? That's one opinion. I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep trying. And it was years later that I actually got a shot at CTV National News. And it was amazing because the person that was responsible for hiring me there, Henry Kowalski, who was the president of news at the time, he said, you're my draft pick. He said, it's not necessarily who you are now, and you're skilled now, but you're going to learn a lot. It's who I believe you'll become. And I never forgot that. And I thank Henry. I thank him all the time, publicly, personally, in my thoughts, for seeing something that I didn't even see at that time.
Marci, you mentioned Canada AM, and of course, so many Canadians remember you from that morning show. And what people didn't maybe realize or think about too much is the fact that you were getting up every morning at 3 a.m. for more than a decade. Meanwhile, you were also raising, two young kids and trying to balance being, a wife and a partner as well. So there were times that obviously you really struggled, and even times you share in the book that you wanted to quit. So what really made you, what made you persevere during those difficult times?
Because when you're blazing trails, you don't quit. And it was for every reason that I had just said in response to Kayla's question. You just keep going because you know that you're in it for the right reasons, and you know you're in it for much more than yourself. And so I kept going. And that shot that we just showed, I had just had Dash literally a couple months before, and was announced as co-host of the show. And it was such a special time. Wow. It was great seeing that video.
Oh my gosh, we are going down memory lane, all kinds, because if we can think all the way back, Marci, to the very first day that you joined us on The Social, there's one big story that stands out, I think, to a lot of us. And it was when you kind of casually dropped that I sang on stage with Stevie Wonder. And we were all just like, huh? What? Can you relive a little bit of that memory with us? Because what?
Oh my gosh. I love this so much. Okay, here's what went down. I had an interview with Stevie a couple weeks prior, and it was a satellite interview. And I said to him before the interview ended, everybody has a favorite Stevie song, and this is mine. And I sang a bit of Do I Do, which is my favorite song. And he said, girl, when I come to Toronto, you need to get on stage with me, and you need to sing that song. And I said, Mr. Stevie Wonder, if you and when you come to Toronto, you need to sit down and have a proper interview with me. Forget about singing. A couple weeks later, my producer that produced that segment got a call from Stevie Wonder's people. They were in Toronto and they said, Stevie hasn't forgotten. He'd like Marci to sing on stage with him tonight. I was minding my own business, picking up, I think, Blaze from school when I got the call to be downtown inside an hour and a half. And the next thing I knew, I was on stage sitting side by side on a piano bench with the incomparable Stevie Wonder and thinking, oh my gosh. And I remember Jeff Hutchison saying to me the next day, he said, Mars, talk about a bucket list moment. And I said, Jeff, who puts this on a bucket list? Like, who would even think this is possible? Right? Like, honestly.
So good.
You put traveling to a country you haven't been to on a bucket list. You don't put singing with Stevie Wonder side by side on a bucket list. But that's how it happens.
Mars, I think that the reason why you're so beloved to so many people is because you show them strength and highs, but you also show vulnerability. So in this book, there are a few chapters on your separation. And you write that it's not easy being alone. What have you learned from the healing process, and why did you want to share that with people?
One of my best friends has said to me, there's a huge difference between being alone and being lonely. And I've had to meditate on that. I've had to think about that. And I get what he means by that, because alone means you're on your own, but you've got people. You've got people in your corner. When you're lonely, that might not necessarily be the case. So I've had to differentiate between those two. But, you know, coming out of a relationship that I was in for almost 25 years hasn't been easy. I'm really proud of us because we are still, I think, really good parents to our kids. But, you know, I was used to living my life with somebody. And all of a sudden, that's not the case. So I've learned the strength in being alone. I've learned to depend on my good friends. You all of you to a person know that, because you've gotten emergency phone calls from me, or you've gotten requests to do a quick Zoom because I'm having a bad day, and you've all answered, always.
Listen, you talk about friends, and you also share a lot about family in your book. And this book is, in fact, dedicated to your sister, Lorraine. And you write, the dedication says, to Loie, it's always been us. And there's so many personal stories about her in here. What's perhaps the biggest lesson you have learned from Lorraine?
See how she's holding me up? My sister has said that I am the only thing she actually ever asked for. The only thing. She demanded a sister. And she got me. And she has been by my side and holding me up ever since. She's my go-to. We all have that rock in our life, the person that is your person. And she is that for me. She has shown me how to be a better sister and a better friend and a better mom.